I can't believe it's almost over.
It's already April. The season's almost over. How is it already April? How? Let's get saucing, shall we? So what's going on, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? My name is Matt, and welcome to another episode of The Sauce. So I know that intro was a little confusing, but it is the fourth month of the year. Why did it take me so long to think of? It's the fourth month of the year, which means the NHL season is almost over, and it's very, very sad. So in this episode, I want to do 4 takeaways in the fourth month of the year. We are almost at the end of the season. Most teams have played about 40 games, which leaves about 16 left. So without further ado, like I said before, let's get saucing. As I always do, let's go ahead and start off with the North Division. So in all of these recap videos, I've done the top 4, and I want to keep that tradition alive. So for the top 4, you still have Toronto with 55 points. In second place, you have Winnipeg with 49 points. In third place, you have Edmonton with 48 points. And in fourth place, the Montreal Canadiens with 43 points. Okay, so for the North Division, let's get into those 4 highlights that I talked about. We got a lot to go through, so I want to keep it quick, and I want the biggest ones up front. So for Vancouver, as of today, they have 21 players that have tested positive for COVID. Now, for all my hockey fans out there, for any people out there who know the game, who know the sport, who know how many people are on a roster, you know why that's significant. For those who are new to the game and who don't know, babe, help the people out here. Put a graphic up here. Just use some circles. You have 4 lines of forwards, and each line has 3 players. Then you have 3 sets of defensemen. Each set has 2 players. And you also have 2 goalies, a starter and a backup. Altogether, that's 20 players. The Vancouver Canucks have more players that have tested positive for COVID than they can roster in a starting lineup. And I thought the Dallas Stars had it bad. So needless to say, even when the Vancouver Canucks are able to play again, I just don't see them even attempting at a playoff push. They will be so out of it by that time. I don't know how many games are going to need to be rescheduled. I don't know if they will be allowed to finish those games. So I really don't know how this is going to work, but they just haven't played like a playoff team regardless. So this is going to be an interesting one to see how it shapes out. The next talking point is Calgary. So in my original video, my first video, I had Calgary ranked at number 2. And I'll tell you what, I cannot make heads or tails of this Calgary team. They have great nights, they have awful nights, they have mediocre nights, they're inconsistent. And I feel like I've talked about that in a few videos now. They're just incredibly, incredibly inconsistent. Markstrom in net has been inconsistent, and I thought he was going to be the star of the show. I thought he was going to help solidify that team as a playoff contender. Boy, was I wrong. Montreal is starting that incline again. They're starting to play great again. I really don't see that Calgary has a shot anymore. Just one of the 4 points I wanted to talk about is just how sad this Calgary team looks. And it's hard to watch because they had such a promising end to last season, and they have such a good group of talented guys. But again, the top 4 teams are just playing better. That's it. On the flip side, Winnipeg looks like a true contender. Their offense is humming along, and I know I've said that before. Connor Hellebuck in net, what more can you say? Their defensive core has done well. However, I think they're going to go and acquire a defenseman at the deadline. There's been a lot of trade rumors with Winnipeg in acquiring a true shutdown defenseman to shore up that blue line, and the trade deadline is only it's a week away. April 12th, week away, so we're getting close. So Winnipeg has a shot at really making a push here. And again, they're at 49 points. Toronto's at 55. They're only a few games back from first place, and Toronto has been there all season long. So the fact that Winnipeg is this close, oh boy, let's see how this one shapes out. And I'll tell you, that trade, Pierre-Luc Dubois coming to Winnipeg, it's looking pretty good for Winnipeg. Just saying. Not so good for Columbus, though. Oh well. And the last one, I said it in my last update video with Eric Staal in Buffalo. He got traded, but he didn't get traded to the Carolina Hurricanes like I was hoping he would. He did get traded to a contending team, so I'm happy about that. It's a team in red, but it's not the team in red that I wanted. So he got traded to the Montreal Canadiens shortly after 2 videos ago, I want to say. So 2 videos ago, go back and check it out. I said it on YouTube. I wanted him traded. He was traded, but not to the team I wanted. I think that's enough. I've said that too many times. Anyway, and not only that, his first game with the Montreal Canadiens, Eric Staal scores the game-winning OT goal, baby. And dang, was that thing beautiful. So if you hadn't had a chance to watch it, check out that highlight. Again, just happy to see the veteran Eric Staal on a contending team, and he's really going to help the center depth for that young Montreal Canadiens team. So just super happy about that. Let's move on to the next division, shall we? Continuing with the trend, the West Division is the second one to talk about. And this one finally saw a change in the top 4, which is why I'm excited about this week's video. I like when there's something different to talk about with these divisions. So in first place, the Colorado Avalanche with 56 points. They are tied for first in the league, but we'll get to that other team later. And in second place, the Vegas Golden Knights with 52 points. In third place, the Minnesota Wild with 48. And in fourth place, the Arizona Coyotes with 43 points. So for the West, the main thing that I want to talk about is a big one. The San Jose Sharks have 38 points, and which means they are 5 points out of a playoff spot. What? What? How is this possible? How, you ask? I really don't know. I really don't know the answer to this one. I don't know how the Blues have just fallen out of the sky. We'll get to them later. And the Sharks are in playoff contention. What? And I mean, I know they have some good players on that team, but what? That's enough of that. The second part of this 2-parter, 1 and 2 of the 4 items, is Patrick Marleau. Patrick Marleau is a 41-year-old veteran for the San Jose Sharks. He was drafted by the San Jose Sharks. He's bounced around a little bit to Toronto, Pittsburgh, and now back in San Jose, which I think where he's going to finish his career after this season. He is only a few games away from beating the all-time games played record set by Gordie Howe. The record is 1,764 games played. Patrick Marleau will pass this if he stays healthy on April 19th of this year against the Vegas Golden Knights. He will pass this. And this is amazing to see a record like this passed in my time. So Patrick Marleau is 41 years old, as I just mentioned. Gordie Howe had the record, and he was 52 when he set that record back in 1980. So here we are, 41 years later, and the record is about to be broken, provided Patrick Marleau can stay healthy. That's just amazing. So 2 parts for the San Jose Sharks, both on a positive note for them. Good for them. And again, like I said in my first predictions video, sometimes you're going to be wrong on these predictions, and here's proof of that. So kudos to you, Sharks. Okay, so before I get into St. Louis, as I just mentioned, the current team in the 4th spot, the Arizona Coyotes, are playing great. Offense has been their struggle. They've struggled to have consistent scoring, but they're looking good. 4th place right now. They have a solid defensive game, which, as I mentioned in one of my earlier videos, was not an issue with the Coyotes. So the only concern with the Arizona Coyotes is that their goaltending is injured. Their starter, Darcy Kemper, their backup, Antti Ranta. Now they have to rely on 3rd-string goaltender Adin Hill. Now, he's no slouch, but he's no Antti Ranta or Darcy Kemper. So that's where we're at with that. And St. Louis, as I've already mentioned, they've just, similar to the Philadelphia Flyers in the East, they've just fallen just out of the sky. St. Louis, going back to last month, has lost 12 of 15 games. So in a prior video, I mentioned how they barely, they didn't edge out the Coyotes. They played them multiple times and they came out behind in that series. So between March and April, they have only won 3 games. They have 38 points, just like the San Jose Sharks do. And I'll tell you what, this former Stanley Cup champion team, if they don't get this together, they're not making the playoffs. The Coyotes are strong defensively. I didn't say stout this time. And the Sharks are, I mean, they lost to Ducks the other night 6-1, so that doesn't help their chances. But, I mean, anything can happen. I trust the goaltending with St. Louis, not much as of late, but I trust that goaltending versus San Jose's goaltending. So we will see. I mean, this is going to be an interesting fight for that 4th spot. All right, so getting to the Central Division. In first place, the Florida Panthers with 56 points. Now, if that point total sounds familiar, it's because they are tied for first place in the NHL with the Colorado Avalanche. More on that later. In second place, the Carolina Hurricanes with 55 points. In third place, the Tampa Bay Lightning with 54 points. And in fourth place, yet another change, the Nashville Predators with 43 points. So another changing of the guard in that 4th spot in these division matchups. So let's get more into that with our 4 things for the 4th month. All right, so it's going to be a true race to the finish for that 4th spot. You have Nashville currently in 4th, but you have Chicago, Columbus, and Dallas right on their heels. Now, Dallas has a total of 8 points that they it's theirs to lose. So they have 4 games in hand on all the other teams due to the weather, due to COVID. So with those 4 games, total of 8 points if they win them all, they will leapfrog the Nashville Predators and take over that 4th spot. So the only team in the Central that's kind of truly out of it is the Detroit Red Wings. But that 4th spot is up for grabs to whatever team decides to turn it on and move. Because all of these teams, Nashville, Columbus, I guess not all, half the teams, Chicago and Dallas, not really much in trade rumors, but Nashville's defense was, Columbus's defense is, so I really don't know what's going to happen in the next week by the trade deadline and who's going to be sellers, who's going to be buyers, but this 4th spot in the Central, truly up for grabs, and the top 3, just watching them constantly change, battle for first place, is just a lot of fun. And speaking of the top 3, as I mentioned, the Florida Panthers with 56 points, tied for first in the league. That's insane. And kudos to the Florida Panthers. They truly deserve it. There's the sad thing about the Florida Panthers is that their young, strong defenseman Aaron Ekblad is out indefinitely with an injury. He has to have surgery on his knee. It's a gruesome injury. Basically, all his weight was on that knee, and he just basically folded it and landed on top of it like a chair, and it was rough to watch. That's a lot to say about it. Hopefully I didn't paint too gruesome of a picture, but glad to hear that it's not as severe as everyone led to believe after seeing that. But I'll tell you what, the positive from that is that this Panthers defense is stepping up. These young guys like Uyghur, their veteran Yandel, it's awesome to see. And one of their better signings in the offseason, Anthony Duclair, could be back relatively soon. So this Florida Panthers team, despite the loss of Aaron Ekblad, there's a lot of positive to take away from what they're still doing without him. So let's see if they can keep it up. So as I alluded to before, the 3rd thing that I wanted to touch on was the trade rumors. So a lot of Nashville's defense, Savard from the Columbus Blue Jackets has been trade rumors. Laine kind of sort of in trade rumors just because of how it's that trade that I mentioned earlier with Winnipeg is not really working out. But Jack Roslovic is looking fantastic for Columbus. So I'm sure that's a happy part of the move for the Pierre-Luc Dubois trade to Winnipeg. But I think Columbus is going to be sellers at the deadline. I think they're going to trade one of the goalies because in the expansion draft, one of them is probably going to get taken. At least that's my 2 cents on either Korpisalo or Merzlikins. So rather than lose him for nothing, maybe trade him one of them before the deadline. And Nashville was once rumored to trade away some defensemen or a defenseman, which they still could do without one because they have such a strong defensive core. Now I don't know because they're fighting for a top 4 spot. So there's a lot of trade rumors. Tampa and Florida, both in the market for a defenseman. Savard has also been linked to both Tampa and Florida. I really don't know what's going to happen next week. So this division, there's a lot to look into into the next coming weeks here, so we will see. All right, and I already know I've said this before, but I want to make sure you all know that I am not biased whatsoever to talk bad news about the Tampa Bay Lightning. They have lost 5 of their last 8 games, and their offensive production, or lack thereof, is a huge part of that. The Tampa Bay Lightning have lost games by 2, 3 goals, only scoring 1, 2, or no goals in that time frame. So they truly need to find that scoring touch again. Otherwise, the Florida Panthers or the Carolina Hurricanes are going to run away with that number 1 spot, leaving them in a tough matchup against one of those 2 teams when the playoffs come around. So hopefully the Lightning can catch fire. Hopefully some of their injured defensemen and one injured forward, Mitchell Stevens, can come back and they can just reignite that offense. So we'll see, but again, they're not looking good in their more recent games, so they need to pick it up. Moving on. In the last and toughest division to predict, as I've always said, the East Division, and we have a lock for first place, or a tie, I should say, deadlock tie, whatever you want to call it, between the Washington Capitals and the New York Islanders at 54 points apiece. Washington's in first, New York's in second, both with 54 points. The Pittsburgh Penguins are in third with 50 points, and the Boston Bruins in fourth place with 46 points. All right, so let's start off with the huge news for the 4 things for April, rather. Buffalo finally stopped the bleeding at 18 losses. 18 straight losses, which ties an NHL record for most consecutive losses. But they broke free of that 18-game losing streak in style by mopping the floor with the Philadelphia Flyers 6-1. 6-1! That's a statement piece. And they've had a few more wins since then. So thank God the Buffalo Sabres finally broke through. They knocked out that awful losing streak, and I could talk some positive about them in this video. So, sigh of relief there. All right, so let's talk a few more items here. So the Boston Bruins have lost quite a few games in recent history. They're on a decline, and the Rangers are on the up and up. So we could see a shift for that 4th spot. Bruins have 46, Rangers have 41, and Rangers are looking good. I really like the way they're playing. They've had a few weird losses here and there, but I mean, Mika Zibanejad's back, Panarin's back. Their young guns in the lineup are starting to just really heat up, and Adam Fox, their young defenseman, is in the Norris Trophy talks for the best defenseman of the year. He's in the conversation with the likes of Victor Hedman and John Carlson, which is huge for that young guy. And, I mean, we'll see. Boston, they need to get some guys healthy, shuffle the lineups a bit, I don't know, but if they want to stay in this playoff hunt, they need to change something, and the Rangers need to just keep doing what they're doing and find that consistency. Continuing on with the Rangers, Mika Zibanejad, I want to remember the stat line. I was searching before this video, just searching to find out what the true stat was. He has multi-point games this season. He has 2, as of right now, 6-point games. He had 3 goals and 3 assists in 2 games already this season. And I think only Wayne Gretzky in NHL history is the only other player to do that in an NHL season. Again, I tried to find this stat. I was watching the game when it happened, and I could not remember it word for word, and I could not find it anywhere. In Google, I tried, trust me. So, but regardless, if that is exactly how it's worded, to be in the talks of Wayne Gretzky, one of the only players, or the second player in NHL history to have 6-point games in a single season, is amazing. And the season's still going, so he could have a third and be the only player in NHL history to have 3 6-point games. But we'll see. So Rangers again, Mika Zibanejad again. Friggin' awesome. Let's move on. And again, the last thing that I wanted to touch on, the Philadelphia Flyers, just like the St. Louis Blues, have fallen from grace. It's not good. I had them at number 1, and they're not playing well at all. So, as I mentioned earlier, the Flyers gave Buffalo that victory after 18 straight losses, and they've lost 7 of their last 10. They are currently tied for the 5th spot with the New York Rangers with 41 points. I don't know. I'm throwing in the towel early on the Flyers. Carter Hart and Brian Elliott just don't look good in net, and I just have more confidence in the Rangers at this point. And truly, I think that Boston, Pittsburgh, even if Pittsburgh and Boston go on a losing streak, I don't see the Flyers coming up. So I think that Boston or Pittsburgh is going to make that third or fourth spot, and then the Rangers are going to make that third or fourth spot. So two of those three teams will be in, and one will be out. That's just the way I look at it at this point. And Flyers, see you next year. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was a long video. Hope you stuck with me to the end. I do apologize. There was a lot to cover in this. Like I said, there was a lot of changing of the guard, especially in that fourth spot for some of these divisions. So I really wanted to get that information out there. And again, as I've said before, thank you so much for watching these videos. I love being able to share hockey content with you all. I really want to bring more people into the game of hockey. And for my hockey fans out there, I really hope you're enjoying this content. It's a lot of fun making it for you and getting to research these items here. So hopefully you're getting some enjoyment out of it. Next week's the trade deadline, so there will be a trade deadline video. I'm going to try to finagle it and see how I can talk about the trades that occurred. I don't want to lose my non-hockey viewers, so I'm going to try to finagle this in a way that'll please both sides. So bear with me, I'll try to get creative on it. But thank you again for watching. I don't want this exit outro to be too long. Make sure you click like, click subscribe, hit the notification bell to get notified on new videos. Check out our other videos in Slice of Life. As always, stay saucy.